Welcome to Inside Hollywood. I'm your host, Jazzy Bell. And on this show, we're about to be joined by a beautiful, beautiful sister. Okay. She has been in the game, I want to say, for over 30 years. Don't want to sound too ancient, but I don't like that word. I like legendary, darling. So we are here with the legendary casting director, producer, director, and author, Tracy Twinkie Byrd. How are you, Twinkie?
I'm awesome. I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm amazing. Like I said, I'm really, really excited to have you here. I've been waiting for this for a little bit now. We just had your protege, Michael Chin, on the show. And in our interview, I told him, I got to get Miss Twinkie on here, child. And you're here. So welcome.
Here I am. Thank you.
Yes, like I said in the intro, you are a legend in this game. And you're welcome. And with Inside Hollywood, with this platform, I'm here to inspire the people to never give up. And I know we all have a story, we all have a journey. A lot of people just see the success. They don't know the story behind it. They think it happened overnight. So I like to put emphasis on how long you've been in the game. So I opened this up saying 30 years, but let me know, is that correct?
That is correct.
Ooh, child, come on, legend. And I was doing my research and I saw how you kind of stumbled upon this industry of being a casting director. And it's such a wonderful story. And I know you told it before, but I would love for you to share with the Inside Hollywood audience on how it all started by you typing 95 words a minute to now being the famous TV and film casting director. So please share that story with us.
That's very true. That's very true. I was an administrative assistant, or back in those days, they called you a secretary at an ad agency. And my desk, I used to have an office when we were in our original building. Then we moved to 1675 Broadway, and they put me out in the hallway in one of those little alcove areas. And I was upset. So, because now you're just basically sitting in the hallway, which is a pathway of people back. It's not even like a cubicle.
Yeah.
And I was also working in business affairs as the secretary, but on the same floor as casting. So whenever they would have their auditions, the casting, the waiting room was right around the corner from my office.
Hallway, office.
Hallway. Right. So, of course, the adults, you'd see them walking in and out, asking you where the bathroom was, this kind of thing. But at this time, we had a Pampers casting, and it was a bunch of babies. And the casting babies are, the Pamper babies are not like little babies, like you think, oh, it's Pampers. They're going to be, no, they're about a year, 2 years old, still walking around in Pampers. So they're older than you think, but they still got the chubbies.
Mm-hmm.
I like them, they're squishy. And this little baby walked right up to me, just, you know, they have them stripped down to just their pamper and the baby. And so all the babies are walking around, just Pampers everywhere, just Pampers on. And this baby came over to me and wanted up, and wanted to sit in my lap because I had all of these toys around my desk from all different types of commercials. I just started to, you know, if there was a toy for it, or Burger King, or if somebody was doing some kind of toy, I want the toy. So I had the toys around my desk, and the baby sat in my lap, and we played and we talked. And when it was time for the baby to go into the room with the door, the baby was like, nope, didn't want to go, started crying. And I was like, well, I could take him into the room if you want. I always wanted to know what was going on behind that door. And when I took the baby into the room, that baby clung to me like he was my own. Took the baby into the room. They asked me if I was the baby wrangler. And I said, how much do they make?
Brilliant. And
so for the rest of that day, I was the baby wrangler, in between answering phones at my desk, running back. Hi, welcome. Hi. I was the baby wrangler. And then I learned what the casting director was doing in the room with the Pamper babies. And from then on, I interned with, her name was Shirley Sender. I'm sure she's still with us. Well, I hope she's still with us. But her name was Shirley Sender. I'll never forget her. She was the in-house casting director for the ad agency. And she let me intern with her at lunchtime.
Wow. And that's how the story began.
That is how it all began.
And from the, that's such a wonderful story. So the baby was your first client.
Yep.
I guess you can
Truly. Truly. And then it became, and then I started bugging the heck out of the casting directors for the Cosby Show. And she finally said yes. And then I got to sit down with her.
Julie
Hughes.
There you go.
And she said, you know, you've got 15 minutes. I said, great. And then when she said, last question, I said, well, who gets your coffee and empties the garbage? And she said, no one. And I said, I want that job. So, you know, you read everything that goes into the garbage, you know, at that time, before all the email and all, everything was on paper. And if you messed up, you had to ball it up, throw it away, type it again. So you get to see all of the different things and read different things and fold it up, put it in your purse, like figure out what were they trying to say, what story they were telling. So I learned a lot from what was going in the waste paper basket. And that's kind of how that started. And then I started to cast music videos. My brother was directing music videos at that time and working for Spike Lee. And he said, well, you should think about doing that at night or on the weekends. So I did. And I started to cast music videos for people. I made up my own business cards at the office and cut them myself, you know, the big giant, I cut them up myself and stacked them because you need business cards. And at that time, it was just, that's what we all did then. We just created the life we wanted. We really did. Because you had music video directors then who, young Black and Latino men and women who couldn't go to film school. They didn't go to film school. They didn't have that kind of money. Film school was a big giant stop sign for a lot of us. So they did it themselves. They worked in music video and did the work and tried to make it work. They PA'd on Spike Lee's sets and got short ends, which were the ends of the film that you could buy those in kind of bulk and get all the short ends and make a short film, make a commercial, make a spec, shoot a music video, all of that. So it was a time when we supported each other's genius.
Wow.
Yeah.
And with Spike Lee and your brother, shout out to him, and you being able to be a part of that journey. What are some of the music videos or sets that you worked on during that time?
Wow. I've done over 1,000 music videos. I can say, let's see. I did Positive K's I Got a Man.
What your man got to do with me? I'm not trying to hit that. See, okay. I love that video. I didn't know that.
My brother directed that, and my brother, you know, the interesting thing about Positive K's I Got a Man, if you go back and look at it, that was the best special effects he could do at that time. Already in his head in the 90s. I told you we were genius. We still are. We are genius. Already in his head at that time, he wanted to have Positive K walk and his clothes shift and change from one version of him to another version of him, because each different version met a different woman.
Yep.
So that is what my brother came up with. So I cast that with him. And then I was an on-set PA while I was casting. Like I would be a talent coordinator. You know, I would run around just like a chicken with no head, just to be around and to be a part of all of that creativity. I did that. I cast my father in the Love You for Life video for Jodeci. My father walks T-Boz down the aisle.
Twinkie Byrd style with this history. Are you serious?
That's my
T-Boz
dad.
walking down the aisle looking all beautiful with the 2 side bang and getting married to Dalvin.
And that's my dad.
Oh no, that is beautiful. That's so
oh my gosh. He was a celebrity for like a year and he loved it. Everywhere he went, they were like, "There go T-Boz dad." And it was so great. It was so great to watch my father walking her down the aisle. It was just, because I don't have my wedding video. So basically that's my wedding video in my head. because, you know, me and my ex-husband didn't even last long enough for me to get the photograph. So
you know what? I'm gonna send my wallet to that.
Yes. So as far as I'm concerned, that's me. Like I get to see my dad walking down the aisle, bopping his little head and everything. So I also did the Sky's the Limit little kid lookalikes for Notorious B.I.G. and yes, and little 112 and little Kim and little Faith, all of that. Yep, did that too. Did the Staying Alive video with Wyclef Jean, where he was kind of what was the character's name? Tony in Staying Alive with the look here, look at shorty. Yep, did that. So many videos. I cannot even, but those are kind of like the highlights, if you will, of music videos. But I've done just about, I mean, I got to do Guru and India Davenport. Trust me, I love you. I got to do so many music videos for so many artists. It's been, another one. I did I Can Love You Better with Mary J. Blige and Little Kim.
Twinkie, I knew I loved you before this interview, but damn, you know that's my favorite rapper of all time. Not just female rapper, but Little Kim is my favorite, and that's one of my favorite records with her and the Mary J. Blige.
Yeah. When I cast Mary J. Blige in Black Nativity, and she had said to me, do we know each other? Like, we've seen each other in passing over the years. And I said, well, I'm sure you don't remember, but I cast the I Can Love You Better Than She Can video. She was like, what? That's how long I've been in the game. So yes. Yeah, we met at a table read and had great conversation. And then, you know, it's funny to cast for them in their music videos and then cast them as actors in film later. It's very interesting.
Like I said in the intro, you're a legend, and a great segue to your career in TV and film and casting. You have introduced us to a lot of great talent.
Oh, thank you.
We thank you. Speaking of thanking you, can you drop some names of some of the talented people out there that Twinkie Byrd discovered first?
So many. I mean, you have like, it's so many. So if you go back to like Stomp the Yard, then you had Laz Alonso, Columbus Short, Brian White, Chris Brown. It was a boys club on that project, and Darren DeWitt Henson.
Yeah.
And of course Megan Good was already here and doing her thing, but she got to pop and shine even a little bit more, and as an adult, a young adult. Yes. And then if you move on to Notorious, that's one that, you know, is very personal because I'm from
Brooklyn.
In the house. Yes, Fred Love is the Brooklyn way. And so getting that project and casting that, finding Biggie, having that whole, you know, we've got to find him kind of search going on. And then the back and forthness of, do we cast names in certain roles or do we cast people that really, you know, resemble them? And then, you know, finding Antonique Smith that can sing so similarly to Faith that they actually used her voice in the film. And the same with Naturi. Naturi was able to copy Little Kim's her range, like she was right in the pocket. And that's not coming from me, that came from D-Dot. That's what he told me. He was like, she's in the pocket. And I was like, oh, great. I'm glad, like, you know, you want it to be that way. And Derek Luke, of course, and Angela Bassett. I I mean, it goes on and on. Getting to use Laz Alonso again and Jumping the Broom with Paula Patton and Megan again and Angela again. And I mean, it's like, I think I've cast Angela Bassett like 3 times.
Beautiful.
Yes. And then Valerie Pettiford, who I loved on Broadway, got to play the aunt in Stomp the Yard. And then you have, of course, Michael B., who auditioned for me a ton of times for Notorious. And so when I thought of him for Fruitvale Station, he was the second choice.
Who was the first?
Look at you. Trying to fuss a myth. All I can say is he was on TV at the time, and he didn't see what I saw.
He turned
which was
down.
fine. He did. Oh. And which is awesome because, you know, your no is someone else's yes.
Absolutely.
Which is amazing. And it's fine. I mean, everybody doesn't have to see what I see. Yeah. You know what I mean? They don't have to see it. It just, a lot of times a director has someone in mind and thinks that that's who they want. But thankfully for me with Ryan Coogler, we worked together on his, on a short film, his USC thesis. And his first choice was Naturi Naughton. And she turned that short film down. So then I was able to introduce a new actress to him, Gentile Girard, and then they are amazing friends. And also too, he won a ton of awards, which then got eyes on his script for Fruitvale Station.
Wow.
Yeah, so every no leads to a yes.
I'm curious, just to take it back a little bit, Michael B. Jordan auditioned for a role in the Notorious movie. Which role was he going for?
Puffy.
He was going for Puffy, okay. He was going for Puffy, all right. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I mean, at that point, you want to see everybody. So it's like either you're Puffy or you're going to be one of the guys like in Junior Mafia, or you're going to find somewhere for you to be. So I did my best.
You did your best, okay. Now, I wonder for you, because you named a lot and you're still discovering talent.
Oh my gosh.
I know. But who would you say thus far, as it pertains to your discovery, that you're most proud of discovering?
All of them.
All of them? Who was the most shocker for you? It was like, okay, I knew you had it, but damn, you went took off.
Stephan James.
Stephan James.
Mm-hmm.
Who's Stephan James?
I cast him as the brother in the Gabby Douglas story. He played her brother. He's from Canada. He's a Toronto, Canada kid. And now he's everywhere. He's in Free Ray Sean. He was in, what was Barry Jenkins' last project that I loved so much? My goodness. How is it that I'm not coming up? No, the one after that.
Yeah, what was the one after that? I'm drawing a blank as well.
And I hate when I draw a blank because this is what I do for a living. So it bothers me a lot. No. But yes, Stephan James. Here he is. Beale Street Could Talk.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So we ran into each other at the screening of Beale Street at one of the many variety like screenings or something like that. And someone asked him, I'm sitting in the audience, watching the film, and absolutely just took my breath away. And I wasn't thinking anything of it. I really wasn't. I was just enjoying the film. It wasn't about anything. I was there to be a part of the audience. And someone in the audience asked him a question of what was his first gig. And he said, my first gig was I played Gabby Douglas's brother in the Gabby Douglas story, this little movie for Lifetime. And I was like, yes! And I just cheered and I clapped. And he said, somebody knows that story. And when we got outside, I said, it's me that you auditioned for. And hi. And we took a picture together. He was like, thank you so much for my first job.
Wow.
Yeah. But they all are, I mean, Michael B. is amazing. I used to manage Michael Kenneth Williams when he was a dancer, because I had a dancer and model management company called Noir, and he was one of my many dancers and models that I managed. So they are all doing well, and I'm happy for them and proud of them. And if and whenever, you know, we have those moments where, you know, sometimes that there's the flow and then there's the ebb. When you have those ebb moments, we kind of come together and talk and commune and, you know, re-energize each other. And then we go back out and do our thing.
You know what I want to know? That I'm sure anybody that's watching this, I'm sure some actors like leaning in for you to drop some gems and some jewels. What would you say?
What gems and jewels do they need?
From the legendary casting director, Twinkie Byrd, what is the one thing that you could tell an actor that they should not do during an audition or a self-tape? Like, what's the one thing they should stay away from?
I can tell them, okay, that's an interesting, I can tell them the one thing that they should be doing.
Okay.
Reading. That's the thing that they don't want to do.
Is read?
They don't want to read. They don't want to read books. They don't want to go to museums. They don't want to learn culture. They don't want to study Shakespeare. They don't want to, they just want success. The problem is, here's the challenge. Your comprehension is going to suck if you don't read. So your auditions will then suck because you don't understand what you're reading. I had an actor come in to audition for me when I was doing Being Mary Jane, and didn't understand. Well, first of all, Being Mary Jane was the ground floor of groundbreaking for the network. And for a lot of Black people, people of color, but Black people in particularly, everything about us was a sitcom. So if it was a Black show, it must be a sitcom. But sitcoms and drama are typed differently. And if you don't know the difference between drama, how a dramatic script is typed, and how and the format, and of a comedic script format, you will think everything is a comedy. So he came in and gave me a comedy audition for my 1-hour drama. Now, that in and of itself is an education on reading, on understanding scripts. Like, people get upset with me when they're like, well, I don't need to know how to write a script. And I was like, but you need to know how to read one.
Right.
So therefore, there are books and classes online for that. We all have to be well-rounded. I can't say, well, I don't need to know how to read a script in order to cast one. That doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. So while you're working so hard for the shortcut, you should be working for the long haul. Because let me tell you, the shortcut makes for a short career.
Woo! Say it again.
Shortcut makes for a short career.
And boom, listen. I know you mentioned Notorious earlier, and you mentioned how Stephon James thanked you during his speech. I personally want to thank you because you probably don't even know, but you booked me twice.
I did?
I mean, it was background work. It was your people. But
oh, that's awesome.
Listen,
that's awesome.
I was in Notorious.
Fantastic.
In the club scene next to Tupac, when he looked up and saw Biggie, the girls that was kind of just surrounding him, I was one of the girls.
You were one of the girls.
And I was like, I'm kind of like a feature. And I ended up getting like a waiver or something, like to be a
good for you.
I know. So it's like a quick $500 too for like a quick second. Love that experience.
Awesome.
Yes. And you did it again with Sparky. Which we're about to get into, but I want to thank you for that because it's funny. Just the other day, my auntie posted me on Facebook because she saw the film, and I'm the girl that's sitting right behind Whitney Houston in the finale where Jordan Sparks is singing.
Oh, okay. Oh, awesome.
I know. It's like,
that's great placement.
It was really good placement, but your people called me there, and you guys knew I was from Detroit, I guess, because I put it down in there, and it was like, well, you're in New York right now. Can you go to Detroit? I'm like, hell yeah, I could go visit my mom and my daddy and my sisters and my brothers and chill and get some home
awesome.
skills.
Yes.
It was such an amazing experience. So I want to thank you for that. Also, I do want you to talk to me about Sparkle, Whitney Houston, and that whole experience. How was that for you?
It was bittersweet.
Yeah.
It was bittersweet because I didn't go to set. I was prepared to fly myself to set and put myself up. And I said, well, I want to come to set. And they were saying no, because at that time, they were like, no, Twinkie, it'll be fine. Because at this time, you know, it's not, Detroit was not ready for visitors at that time. It was a little, they were, you know, they needed a lot of security, and they felt like, you know, it was best for, you know, to keep visiting down and just focus on the work.
Yeah.
And I was bummed. I was like, but I want to meet Whitney Houston. Because, you know, I was the person who suggested her to play the mom. She was the one that had the rights. And she and Deborah Martin Chase, they had the rights to Sparkle. And as we were casting it, and they were like, well, who's going to play the mom? And I had a long list. And I said, but what about Whitney? I mean, why don't we get Whitney Houston to do this? And they all looked at me like, why didn't I think of that? And I was like, well, that's why I'm here, kind of, you know, casting.
But I do.
And they asked her, and she said yes. And I was really excited by that. I remember Carmony Jogo waiting a long, long time. Oh my goodness, we went out to Paula Patton, and Paula Patton said no. And I was like, awesome, because I want Carmony Jogo. So, and you know, I had already cast Paula Patton. She was great. She didn't want to do any singing roles, and that's fine, because, you know, she didn't want to do that. People have a right to not want to do what, you know. And I was like, perfect. So, and I had already put out the auditions for all of the other women to come in while we were waiting to hear what Paula Patton had to say. And then when she passed, I was like, great, I have this audition in case you guys want to see it. So as soon as you get to know, it's like, follow it up with, here's who's available and interested. Oh. And by the way, I had them put it on tape. So I saw her audition, and it was amazing. Even though her mother was reading opposite her, she was on holiday in Switzerland, and she was in a bathroom that echoed.
Still
all the things that were wrong with every tape. Like, people tell you all these perfect things, you gotta, no, it's the work. That Carmony Jogo can do no wrong. She's got the work. It's all in here. It's in here, it's all in. So when we saw that tape, we were like, yep, gotta offer her the job. And I was so glad to have her in the project. I didn't know what to do with myself. Jordan was amazing. And, you know, it was so many people that auditioned for Sparkle. It was that list of young women. I mean, everybody came in. And I'm thankful that they came in and auditioned too, because they were all talented, all amazing. Yeah. I mean, they were really great. And you know, a lot of them really could sing, like Tiana Taylor. Okay. Tiana Taylor came in there and blew the house down. Yeah. Erica Ash can really sing. She's a Broadway singing diva. She came in for the sister. Tika Sumpter was in that role. There were so many women that came in and auditioned for it. It was a great feeling to audition so many wonderful, amazing, talented Black women for that movie.
It was rumored at one point that Ashanti was supposed to be Sparkle. Was she in the runnings for that?
Not that I know.
Okay, see, you could dispel that rumor, because
which Sparkle? There were so many. Sparkle had tried to get up a few times,
Okay.
So I don't know if that was my sparkle or if it was a previous sparkle, because I remember prior to that, Aaliyah was supposed to play Sparkle as well. There was an Aaliyah, and that was many years before my version of Sparkle. So I'm just glad that I got to be a part of Sparkle, just to be a part of a remake that was a cult, that is a cult classic, and that's also a period piece. Because I've always wanted to do a period piece as well. And then I got to see one of my favorite parts was watching Ruth Carter prepare. If I was smarter, I would have taken video of that.
Wow. Watching
her preparation.
Oof.
Girl.
When in that scene with Whitney Houston, where I'm sitting behind her in between breaks, Whitney asked me to stand up because she loved my outfit. They was like, child, this look good. And she was like, are they gonna have you keep it? I was like, I hope so. She said, me too. She was amazing. And I forgot, just as you mentioned, Ruth Carter was on board as the costume designer for that film. So legends on top of legends on top of legends, hands was in the pot. And I was watching another interview that you had, and you said, you know, you have a list. You had a list of directors, of people that you wanted to work with. And at that time, I believe that interview was back in 2012. And you said you already did 7 out of the 10 names that were on your list that you wanted to work with. And you said you have to have a new list now. So I wonder, who's on your new list that you would love to work with that you haven't worked with so far?
Well, as far as collaborators, because now from a casting standpoint, it'll be a collaboration because it'll be casting and producing at this point. But there are people who I would love to work with, like Barry Jenkins. He's someone that I'd really love to work with. Like Regina King, I'd love to work with her and also shadow her. Like Ama Asante, who I also love. And we've had numerous conversations. I got a chance to meet her in London with my short film. She was there at the opening night. And then here in LA, I got to meet her and we talked at her Where Hands Touch screening. Because we both have a love for period pieces, and we want to excavate and research the truth, as much truth as possible, and then add on where needed, because, you know, much like the Sphinx in Egypt, they disfigured our history.
Yeah.
It is either buried or they set it on fire. The burning of the Alexandria Library, where we were teaching the Greeks and the Romans, and because that was us, we are genius. And so therefore, it's time for us to take our stories back into our own hands, find our stories and take our stories back, and then, for lack of a better term or phrase, very much a Denzel saying, but it's true. It's time for us to take back our righteous minds.
Great idea to want to be a part of storytelling in that aspect, and definitely with the short film, Counter 1960. I saw that you did that, and here you are executive producing Lifetime's film, Christmas Unwrapped. So let's talk about what you are doing. Talk about that film and what that experience as an executive producer for Lifetime has been like for you.
Well, it brings me back to a familiar face, which is Michael Chin, and we get to work together again. He was my assistant on Notorious, and I love him so much. He is really great, and we had so many conversations during the ins and outs and ups and downs of, you know, his career prior to, and all the travels. He even got me tickets to Alvin Ailey when it came to Los Angeles, when he was working with them. And I got to bring one of my mentees at that time, to see Alvin Ailey perform. So Michael and I go way back, and we've been tight for many years. And for me to be able to work with Lifetime and with Makita, who is also another African-American producer there at Lifetime, it was a great experience. We pitched it in the room and sold it at that time, and then worked on, because it was shooting in Canada, I worked on a lot of the prep here in Los Angeles, and then I got to go up to the set to be with the cast and for a few days and see the inner workings. I got to hire an amazing Black female director named Basade Williams out of Toronto. And that made me feel really good. And I also got to cast Amber Stevens West, who I have known since the music video days. She used to audition for me for music videos and commercials and such. So I finally got a chance to cast her in a lead role. And she's doing so well in her career. I'm so incredibly proud of her. And then I got to cast another dear friend, Sherry-Ann Drakes, who my brother cast in a film called Jasper, Texas in Canada. I got to cast her as the best friend, Marco Grazzini and Cheryl Ladd. So those are my leads in the film. And it was a great experience in terms of learning. I learned a lot, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I learned a lot about the process. I also learned a lot about infrastructure and the lack of Black infrastructure in this industry. A lot of times we may be seeing a Black film, but there's not enough Black people as a part of that project behind the scenes, or a production company that is facilitating that project, producing it and getting it out there. And we need more infrastructure in that area so that more of us can eat.
Well, we talked a lot about your experiences in Hollywood, and from your humble beginnings to now, with this Christmas Unwrapped that's out right now on Lifetime. Make sure y'all check it out.
Out right now on Lifetime. Yes. Holiday season 2020. Enjoy.
And on this show, I always ask my guests if they can to share a story or a journey that was their biggest obstacle that they had to overcome, where you were the most challenged in your career, especially as a Black woman. I know you have a plethora of stories like that, unfortunately, just being a sister. But what is it, one story that you can share with us that you was like, you know what, this was the hardest thing that I had to overcome?
The most challenging thing that I had to overcome. Still overcoming it. We're still focused on overcoming pay disparity with Black women in this industry, especially Black casting directors getting paid way less than our white counterparts. And that has been a challenge. I mean, between that and being able to be a part of our own storytelling, because a lot of times you've been watching films where black casting directors were not a part of the casting process. Like, even though Black Panther was all Black everything, it was not a Black casting director.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Oh, really, really, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Creed, not a Black casting director. There are not Black casting directors on a lot of projects. I think Beale Street was Carmen Cuba, so that's not a Black casting director, or Moonlight. Yeah, so there are a lot of times when we are shut out of projects, or within our community, we may not have the relationship, or we're trying to build the relationship and where somebody cuts you out of the situation at a function or an event, and that you're not privy to being a part of. And to me, it's something that we're working on, but it's not enough. It's time for our Black directors, male and female, to see us, to see Black casting directors as their allies, and collaborators as opposed to however they're seeing us. And to understand that it's the programming to think that a white casting director can cast better. It's your programming that makes you think that a white casting director can cast white people and you can't. It's the programming. I had a producer out of New York ask me, okay, well, what's the budget? She's a producer. And she said, you know, I want you to cast the Black part of the cast. And I was like, excuse me? And she said, because I'm gonna get a white casting director to cast the white part of the cast. And I said, well, you're a Black producer? And she said, yes. And I said, so are you gonna only produce the Black part of the film? And she was like, no. And I said, well, what makes you think I can't make the same phone call that a white casting director can make? It's the same phone call, it's the same agency, it's the same agent, it's the same, you know, like, I don't even understand what that is.
And they don't do that in reverse. They're not telling the white casting director to only cast, like, you know, like you can cast a full Black film filled with Black actors, but
no. They would never do that. That's not the programming that we've received. The programming we've received is they can do anything. You can only do what you do. But they can do anything and everything. Because that's the programming that you've been fed. And much like anything else, we all have to are charged with deprogramming and reprogramming ourselves. And part of that deprogramming, it's work. It's work for all of us in terms of books, in terms of self-love, falling in love with ourselves, in terms of honoring, you know, who our mothers and fathers are. If you can direct them, I can cast them. So, you know, look past your limited thought process. If you're directing them, Black director, I can cast them.
Yes, good point. Oh, thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely.
It sucks that that even happens. Listen, I'm going to end this with, I do want you to shout out your book, Channeling Becky. I know I saw you in an interview where you talked about how oftentimes as career women, you know, they aren't in relationships. And I don't want to tell your business, but before we started, you was like, baby, where my water?
Yeah, that's Mr. Squeeze.
Okay, Mr. Squeeze. So it has changed for you. Congratulations on that journey. Anything you want to say about the book for the people to go out to?
Thank you.
Because I'm inspired, because I'm one of those career women that's single.
Exactly. Well,
it's hard out here for a pimp.
It's one of those situations where we don't know how to turn off the masculine energy or the career woman and turn on our feminine energy, which is the soft, sensual woman. And it happened to me. And I had to go see a therapist. I was dating an amazing man at the time who was now also an actor, but then a firefighter. And he did the best thing he ever could for me, which was an amazing breakup. And during that amazing breakup, he showed up to help me understand why it didn't work for him, because he too was also in therapy. So he was able to communicate even better than I was. He was able to communicate his feelings as to why it wasn't working for him. And as I sought out a therapist, I met her and she said, can we talk to him so that she can then give me the best relationship therapy? And he was there for it. He answered questions, he shared, and it was amazing. It was so painful at the time, but looking back on it, I thank him. I thank him all the time, actually, just looking back on it, because it changed my life. It helped me become a better listener. It helped me to understand that it's not all about me and what I'm doing. It helped me to pay attention to others and be giving. And also it taught me how to be quiet. There's power in silence and vulnerability. So, and that's something that I was always filling the space. Every time it got too quiet, oh, I'm supposed to say something. I'm supposed to talk. I'm supposed to, you know? So it was an awakening, and it was when she hit me with, at the first workshop, with every relationship lasts 2 years or less, and I went over my life and went, every relationship I have ever had was 2 years or less. That's about as long as they can put up with either the mother smother or the teacher, but never the lover. I was too scared to be the lover. So I was teaching him, oh, you don't know how to pronounce things, you don't know how to word this, and your grammar is awful. Let me redo your bio. Let me do your website. I was busy. Or the mother smother. Did you do this? Did you take your, have you done? But never the lover.
Noted. Any lasting words you want to give to anybody? I guess because you are a legend in this game and just being a Black woman, anything you want to tell a young Black girl, advice that's looking to get into Hollywood?
You know what? I want to be really honest with my young Black women that want to get into Hollywood.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want, but I want you to build an IG that showcases your art and not your ass. Unless your ass is your art, and then carry on. But showcase your art. There is more to you than your ass. And I love it. I love your ass and the curves and everything in between. And and we're women. We should be curvy and soft and beautiful and sexy, all of that. But showcase your art. Use your social media to showcase your art as much as possible. Create a whole nother page for that other stuff. You know, if you're an IG model or whatever it is. But I would like to be able to go on your page and see what you really love, what you say you enjoy. Showcase that. Showcase your painting and you want to be different, but then you're afraid to be different. Just if painting is in you, paint, sis. If making waist beads and earrings and jewelry is in you, do it. Show it on IG, show it on your reel or your TikTok. Do that. If dancing is you, dance, I said, dance. Like if all of those things, show us who you are, because you're going to draw in all of the things that you want. You're going to bring them to you with your hashtags, and you're going to bring them right into you. So, and I say this for the women and for the young men, like, show us who you are on your social media. You will be found, I promise you. You will be found, and you'll be found by the right people. But learn to enjoy the journey, because that is the destination.
Well, there you have it, people. Thank you again, Miss the legendary Tracy Twinkie Byrd.